love shiny Pokemon that can have different forms or variations between individuals. Pokemon that can have different colors when you catch them, such as Vivillon, Florges, Deerling, or Minior for example. Included in this is also gender differences, such as Indeedee, Basculin, and Basculegion, as well as Meowstic. In particular, my favorite are Pokemon that have alternating forms. Things like Furfrou, Oricorio, or Rotom, forms that you, the player, pick. It feels a little more special than other shinies who have no variation. It's really fun starting a hunt and wondering which one you'll be getting or which form you'll change it to when you actually get it. There is no better example of this than Alcremie, a Pokemon famous for having a multitude of forms. Though the shiny only has 7 forms that it can evolve into, it's still more than just about any shiny with forms that you can think of. Unlike all the previous examples though, Milcery is a Pokemon that starts with no variation, and then you evolve it into a variation that'll be permanent, which I think is really interesting. I love that is a decision that you, the player, have to make. It gives more meaning to the suit that you pick for it. So that's why when I started shiny hunting in Sword and Shield, I knew that I had to get my hands on one. In particular, I wanted the Ribbon suit as it's a little rarer than the other forms, to make it even more special. It's also my favorite aesthetically speaking. So, before I started shiny hunting it, I spent about 2 weeks doing the daily battles in the cafe shops, in hopes of getting the suit. I kept doing the battles and 2 weeks passed. I was surprised I hadn't gotten either of them. That's when I decided to look it up and realized that you actually can't get either of them from the cafe. You can only get the Ribbon and Star suit from the Cram-O-Matic, and now the item printer in Scarlet and Violet. I guess that's why you do your research before starting a shiny hunt. Oh well. Luckily, the time was not wasted, as the suits are still useful. They will be the item that we will be using for the Cram-O-Matic to get the Ribbon suit. So I changed my plans a little bit. I would get the Milcery first and then the suit, since there's no point in having the suit with no Milcery anyways, right? I mean, how long could it really take? Before we begin the hunt, let's see what kind of odds I'm working with first. Milcery can be found in 3 places in Sword and Shield. Alcremie can be found in Dynamax Adventures, but it'll always be the same form, so we'll discard that. The first place is in Route 4. Milcery has a 20% chance of being encountered randomly in grass. It's not ideal, seeing as Meowth has a 35% chance of being encountered too, with Voodoo also having a 25% chance. So ideally, I would be shiny hunting here. That leaves us with 2 places, Richfield and Giant's Mirror in the wild area. The thing about these 2 places is that they need to have the fog weather for Milcery to spawn. In Giant's Mirror, Milcery has a 32% chance of being encountered, the second most common encounter, with Impidimp being the most common at a 35% chance. Way better odds than Route 4. Meanwhile in Richfield, Milcery has a 30% chance of being encountered in the grass. It's actually the most common encounter here, so generally this is the ideal spot for the hunt. Kind of. It's less common in Giant's Mirror, but a smaller pool of options means you might have less of a chance at facing. But it being the most common encounter in Bridgefield, in theory, means you should be seeing more Milcery there. Although I prefer Bridgefield personally, I'm actually not sure which spot is better. It feels like you have about the same chance in either spot. I wish I could remember the exact date I started hunting Milcery, but I am confident it was sometime in late July of this year. The hunt started off pretty slow. If I didn't have a day where either spot had fog, then I just didn't hunt it that day. Of course, I could go to Route 4, but at the time, I really didn't like my odds in that place. It felt like I was too likely to face on something, which I ideally wanted to avoid. Something that would become painfully ironic as the hunt goes on. So for a few months, that was it. I got on Sword. If there was fog, I'd hunt Milcery. If there wasn't, then I'd work on another hunt in the meantime. Now of course, I could simply time skip until I get a day with fog. But personally, I'm not a fan of time skipping. I've got nothing against it, but it's just not my style, so I was stuck waiting. I didn't really mind the sun being so much slow. It was a bit unfortunate when I'd get a foggy day, but not get much time to hunt it throughout the day, due to college taking up my time. Though even so, after a little while, I was starting to get a little impatient. I was still enjoying the hunt, but I reached 5,000 encounters without anything shiny, not even a face. Keep in mind, I have the shiny charm, so by this point I was way over odds, even non-charm odds. I was about to wrap up a session for the day, but I decided to go on for a few more minutes. And at 5,842 encounters finally, a shiny Litwick appeared. Yeah, it was just a phase. I kind of expected to get one, but it stung a little having the first phase be nearly 6,000 encounters into the hunt. What can you do, I guess? Turns out Litwick have Memento, so that was a bit terrifying. Had to pray that the repeat wall would work first try. Luckily it worked and I had my first phase. To add insult to injury, it was marked with the sleepy time mark. I do have the mark charm, but still, it felt a bit bittersweet. I suppose that's just how it is. I'm sure the next one will be it. 2 days passed, and I had foggy weather in Giant's Mirror, so I got to hunting. I didn't really like hunting here because of the things that I could face on. I already have a shiny Grimstone, so I wouldn't have much use for an Impidimp. Machop is not a Pokemon I particularly like, so I wasn't hoping to get it. Mimikyu would be cool, but it's only 3% chance here. Surely something with an encounter rate that low wouldn't shine. And of course, there was Coughing. At level 60, it has Memento and Explosion. I was really hoping to not find it because if the first wall didn't work, it was almost guaranteed to be a fail. But hopefully we won't have to worry about that, and oh, that's a shiny Coughing. Well, once again, I went for repeat ball first turn, and thank God, it worked. The Scuffing was at 6,022 encounters, so was actually only 180 encounters after the Litwick. That's pretty lucky, I guess. It's still not my target, but it's a cool shiny. I mean, hey, at least stuff is actually shining now, right? So shiny Milcery is probably gonna show up soon, I would imagine. After this phase with the Coughing, I got pretty busy with college, so I rarely had the time to hunt it, and I was feeling a bit exhausted from the hunt. So I slowed down. I'd still occasionally check for foggy weather and attempt the hunt when there was sun, just way less frequently and with shorter hunting sessions. At last, my winter break came, and I was prepared to go full speed ahead with this hunt. By now, the Indigo Disc was right around the corner. I really wanted to finish this hunt before the DLC. I was sure that wouldn't be an issue originally, but well, the game had other plans. Since the DLC was so close now, I decided I would start hunting in Route 4, when there was no foggy weather, to increase my chances of getting it. I quickly started to dislike hunting here. I really did not want to face on a Meowth because I just wouldn't use a shiny Berserker for anything. I suppose a Voodoo wouldn't be bad, it's a very cute shiny after all. Though you gotta be careful what you wish for, I guess. The game heard me, and at 9,482 encounters I got my third phase, a shiny Voodoo. 3,000 plus encounters after the Coughing, and I got another phase. I was getting a little tired of this. 3 phases is not too bad for a hunt, I realize now, but I would consider myself a pretty new shiny hunter still, so this felt kinda devastating. But I would not be deterred. It was at this moment that a switch flipped in my brain. I got a massive surge of motivation that told me to keep going. I would get the shiny Milcery, no matter what this game throws at me, I'll get it. That's what shiny hunting is. Deal with it and get on with the hunt. And so I kept hunting for a little while longer and nothing else appeared. The session was not a success, but I came out of it with a renewed sense of determination to keep going. Next day, I started hunting early in the day. No fog again, so I was stuck in Route 4. I decided I would no-life this hunt from here on out. I was super determined to get it. And the game was ready to test my will, because a couple of hours after I started hunting, I got yet another phase. Phase 4 was another shiny Voodoo. It had been 669 encounters since the last one. Again, that's pretty lucky, but it sure as hell didn't feel like it. It was not my target, and worst of all, it was a dupe. I guess I can keep a Wooloo and a double now. Hooray. Whatever though, it was a little soul crushing, especially when I realized that the previous Wooloo was marked, but I was still motivated. I think the worst part of this phase is that around this time, a friend of mine was hunting Milcery in this exact spot, and they got it in about 1500 encounters. If you ever need to check how much the universe hates you, just shiny hunt with someone, see how the universe favors. Well, they were also shiny hunting for wool, and I had two now, so I guess it evens out. Let's change topics for a little bit. So for shiny Milcery, like I said, I wanted to get the ribbon suit on it. For this, the Dream Ball would be an excellent match in terms of colors and even the particle effects that you get when you send it out. Lucky me that I still had it, because I was unaware of how rare apricorn balls were, and I wasted a ton of them during my initial playthrough. However, getting it on a Dream Ball had a few issues. Dream Ball works better when the Pokemon is asleep. Small issue with that. Making Milcery fall asleep is either not possible or kind of a pain. If I was hunting in Bridge Field or Giant's Mirror, no matter what I did, I couldn't make the Milcery fall asleep. For starters, the ability it always has is Sweet Pill. This gives it an immunity to sleep. For this, I actually had a workaround. I taught my Gallade skill swap, so I could take it away and then Hypnosis would actually work on it. But there was another issue. Since the weather is foggy, the battle was going to be in misty terrain, meaning I couldn't inflict status effects on it. And as far as I'm aware, you cannot clear this terrain with your own moves or abilities. Now, was this really such a big issue? Milcery has a catch rate of 200. To put it into perspective, Rookie D has a catch rate of 255. They're not that far off, it should easily go into the ball. But I was paranoid that it would fail still. Sure, I could get the ball back with a Yamper, but I really wanted this Milcery in a Dream Ball. If the ball failed, I would just stick with another Pokeball though. I badly wanted it in a Dream Ball, but not enough to waste a chance at catching it. Something I learned during this hunt is that using Illuminate can be pretty helpful. If your lead Pokemon has Illuminate, Arena Trap, or No Guard, the rate at which random encounters appear is increased. It's not like it's a slow process to find them without it, but after a while I was taking anything I could get to make this hunt just a little easier. Lanturn is a Pokemon I've liked for quite a while, but I certainly feel a lot more fond of it now. Maybe it's just from staring at it for god knows how many hours, who knows. I know for sure that from now on it's gonna be my go-to partner for random encounter hunts in Sword, unless I need to use another ability. Time passed and the Indigo Disc came out. I played it and I had a great time. But during my playthrough I was always thinking of the Milcery. I still had to finish that hunt. At least I wasn't on a timer now, but still. If you've been keeping up with the news, then you should know that around this time an event was announced for Scarlet and Violet. Milcery would be appearing in outbreaks with increased shiny odds. Not to mention, I'd probably have an easier time doing the hunt in Scarlet in general with Herba Mystica sandwiches. This kinda felt like a slap on the face, I'll be honest. I was constantly reminded of the Milcery as I walked around during my playthrough. So the logical step to follow would be to switch to Scarlet and hunt it there with more ease. Now of course the logical step for some other people would be to be stubborn about it and keep hunting it in Sword. I am those people. I started this hunt in Galar, and it ends in Galar, with the same boss I started with. Sure, I wanted to get this Milcery, but at some point, it became more than just about owning the Milcery. If I just wanted to get the Milcery, I probably could have bred for it even, and gotten it already. But no, this was personal now. It was about finishing the hunt. I wanted to prove to myself that I could stick with the hunt this long. And either the game or the universe was punishing my stubbornness, because what happened next is something I'll never forget. I would classify this as a perfect example of what it's like to have terrible good luck. Sure, it's lucky, but it sure as hell doesn't feel like it. What am I talking about? Well, I resumed hunting on the 19th of December, early in the day as usual. About 30 minutes after I started hunting, I got 5th place in Ridgefield. Shiny Palpitoad at 13,446 encounters. More than 3,000 encounters since the last phase. Yeah, it was looking rough. This one hurt. Palpitoad has a 10% encounter rate here, far less common than Milcery, and yet it shined before it. But the game wasn't done. It knocked me down and it was ready to start kicking. 5 minutes later, after literally only 10 encounters since the puppy told I got another face. And you wanna know what it is? Thievul. So not only did I face again, not only did I get a shiny rarer than Milcery here immediately after starting the hunting session, not only did I find 2 uncommon shinies within the span of 5 minutes, but that second shiny has a 5% encounter rate here, making it significantly rarer than Milcery. Even after this, I was still determined to keep going with this hunt, but I would be lying if I said this didn't hurt. A lot. It's one of the luckiest things that has happened to me in Pokemon, and it'll probably not happen again for ages. Yet it happened at the worst possible time, making it the most bittersweet part of this hunt. But wait, it gets worse. I kept going for the rest of the day until nighttime, and at 14,737 encounters, I got yet another shiny Bitterweed. 3 shinies in one day, none of them my target, one of them a dupe. To say this was devastating would be a bit of an understatement. Sure, there's hunts that go on for this long and get this many faces, it's natural. But it didn't feel natural here. Milcery was the most common in 2 of the places I was hunting it in. It does not feel like it should have been this much of a struggle. I guess that's just how shiny hunting can be. Unpredictable. I took a break from hunting Milcery for one day. I got the feeling that if I kept going, it would result in burnout. But following that day, on the 20th of December, I got back to hunting it. I had a fuck day in Giant's Mirror, it was go time. And then the whole day went off without a shiny. Until the very end past midnight. Basically a repeat of the late week. I was about to end, and I told myself I'll go on for a few more minutes. And what do you know, a shiny appears. At 16,392 encounters, I got a shiny Impidimp. After the previous phases, I was, pardon the pun, not phased anymore. I just got it, accepted it, and moved on. I especially wasn't surprised with it being an Impidimp. In fact, I expected to face on an Impidimp, just not this late into the hunt. December 21st came, I did my usual routine. I got up early, started hunting for hours until past midnight, and called it a day. This time, at 16,671 encounters, I got another shiny copy. It had only been 279 encounters since the last phase, insanely fast. Once again, we go back to the recurring theme of lucky happening not feeling so lucky. I wasn't sure if I wanted to evolve the first Scuffing into a Galarian Weezing or a Cantonian one, but I guess I don't have to worry about that decision anymore. It had to be Coughing too, the one I was hoping to not find because it could so easily result into a fail. I quickballed it. I don't tend to like quickballing my shinies, but in this case I'd rather have the shiny in a quickball than not have it at all. Besides, I don't think the quickball looks so bad with the colors of Weezing, so I can live with it. I'm kinda beating a dead horse here, but you ever wonder how many shinies you walk past? People bring this up for Gen 9 all the time, but it's a thing in Gen 8 too. Overworld Pokemon that spawn are shiny, even if you can't see it. You have to use mod to see them in the overworld as shiny. I'm sure I must have walked past a dozen shiny Swirlits or Munas or whatever was spawning around me. Somewhat fortunately, I actually managed to find one of these on Adspent. On the same day as the second Coughing, I got a Myrtle at 17,697 encounters. Almost 1,000 encounters since the Coughing. I wasn't actually too bothered by this phase. Myrtle is a cool shiny, and I would never known it was shiny if I didn't accidentally run into it. I mean, it was still bittersweet, but it is still a phase, but I was more upset with it, you know? Throughout this whole hunt, I had been dreaming of the moment that Milcery would shine. The catharsis, the feeling of satisfaction, of achievement. I could not wait to get it. At the risk of sounding like an addict, I'll say, this hunt got kinda taxing at times. There were times I was hunting half asleep basically, or I'd spend the day from morning to midnight hunting with few breaks. I am not an example to be followed, let's make that very clear right now. But I really wanted to get it. I had spent so long, I just wanted to get it already. Every 1,000 encounters, it feels like I would alternate between motivation and demotivation. I started thinking stuff like, had I just missed it? That was the only logical explanation, right? I found a shiny Milcery, missed the black guys, and ran away like 4,000 encounters ago. I'm not the brightest, but I don't think I'm capable of missing it. Okay, maybe I am, but whatever. I was not keeping that Milcery you saw, even if I caught it. Like I said, I'm dead set on getting it in Sword. At times, it felt like I need a miracle to get this thing to finally appear. A Christmas miracle, perhaps. On December 22nd, I did a small hunting session. Just about 500 encounters or so, and nothing of note happened. Then, on December 23rd, I got to my usual routine and kept hunting. I was stuck on Route 4. I'd gotten unlucky with the weather since the Impudent and Morlul. I was kinda mentally preparing myself for a face on a shiny Meowth, or maybe one of the rare encounters here like Joltik or Cutiefly if I was quote-unquote lucky. The whole day went without any shinies. Midnight came and I was pretty damn exhausted, half asleep even. But I wanted to keep going on for a bit longer. And I'm glad I did, because once it became Christmas Eve, I got my Christmas miracle. At 19,118 encounters, at long last, the final 11th phase of the hunt appeared, Shiny Milcery. I unfortunately didn't record my reaction. It's not like I screamed, I was not about to wake up my whole house for this. But I jumped out of my chair and bounced around my room. What sleepiness, that was all gone now, replaced by utter joy and excitement. It took a moment to register in my brain that it was a shiny when I saw it approaching on the screen. I had imagined this moment several times in my head, and yet it still caught me off guard when it appeared. I was ready to wrap up and accept that today's session too was a dud, but it wasn't in the end. I wanted to sit there and admire it for ages, enjoy the moment, but I got to catching it immediately after it appeared. I did not want to take any risks. I knew Milcery had no way to KO itself, but if there was like a 0.001% chance of my game crashing or something like that, I was not taking the risk. It's rather ironic that it happened in Route 4, the place I least wanted to hunt it in. It was fortunate for me though, I could skill swap it away and make it fall asleep. Plus it being a low level meant it shouldn't be any trouble getting in a Dream Ball. Realistically, I probably could have thrown the ball at 1 HP and it would have caught. But I was taking the opportunity and not wasting it. I was not taking any risks. My hands were shaking throughout the whole encounter. I threw the ball, critical catch, it shook once, and it was mine. I don't think a shiny catch, or finding a shiny, has ever felt as satisfying as this did for me. It was surreal, to put it lightly. I'm recording this right after I've caught the Milcery, and I'm still in shock, but incredibly happy. I'm beyond ecstatic even. It's been such a long hunt, and I didn't plan for it to be, but I guess stuff happens. It's a brave nature. What's it? Uh, it's got a mark. It's perfect too because I wanted. I was hoping for a mark, but I wasn't like expecting to get one. You know, if I got one, that was cool. If I didn't, then it's oh well. And the best part is, it's a perfect mark. I wanted a mark that kind of showed that it was like grumpy or angry, that kind of thing. It it makes the 19,000 encounters plus worth it. Absolutely worth it. I have so many more thoughts that I might share later. But for now, I'm just happy to have my Milcery. My shiny, beautiful Milcery. And for the sake of tradition, we will do this. Normal Milcery, shiny Milcery. You can't really tell much of a difference with this lighting, but the black eyes don't lie. It's a beautiful, shiny Milcery. Amazing. Now, remember how I said I decided to get the sweet evolved Milcery until after the hunt? Yeah, I still didn't have it. I realized I didn't have as many sweets as I thought I did, but either way I went to the Chromatic and I gave it a shot. With my luck I expected it to take several days, but luckily I got it on my 4th attempt, so I was good to go. Now I just had to evolve the Milcery on. There we go, the ribbon sweet. Surprised I wouldn't get it for a moment. One step closer. When it came to evolving this thing, it was an odd feeling. This whole hunt started because I wanted a shiny Alcremie. And yet, I almost felt kinda sad evolving the Milcery. Maybe it's because I had sought to see those black eyes and slightly lighter white. It felt sad to no longer be able to look at them once I evolved it. It's almost a bittersweet feeling, but I suppose that's not an uncommon feeling for this hunt anyways. I was definitely going to evolve it, I just felt a bit sad doing so. I decided to take a few pictures with it and admire the animations before I did. I love Milcery's animation, watching the ball of milk go up and down in circles. It's almost hypnotizing, you know, it's kind of like looking at a lava lamp. But after all this time, I had my Milcery, and so I could finally get my shiny Ribbon Sweet Alcremie. I thought about doing it in Scarlet to have a cross-game evolution. I thought that would be cool, but it felt more right to do it where I got it. And once I did, it was every bit as beautiful as I thought it'd be. It's perfect, the look and the mark. I still can't believe I got it marked, and with the perfect mark at that. I said it already, but it really made those 19,000 encounters feel worth. My patience was rewarded at last. So, what now? Well, I feel a little more positive about the faces that came before Milcery. I'll probably evolve a couple of them, transfer the ones I can to Scarlet, and as for Alcremie, I think I'll name her Melissa. The name means honeybee. Honey is pretty fitting given that it's a sweet, and bee because it'll be a good little worker. By that I mean, I'll be using it for terrorists in Scarlet. I wanted to get an Alcremie because it's a shiny I love. Part of the reason was also that I think it's a cool Pokemon for terrorists. And if you know me, or this channel, well you know I'm all about that. As for me, well, you're gonna think this sounds overdramatic, and to that I say, shut up, you have this. I worked hard for this. But what I was gonna say is, I think this hunt has been kinda impactful for me. It was meant to be a small, quick and easy hunt that I would occasionally do as I did other stuff in the background. And then it turned into a journey spanning months with many trials, you could say. Coming out of this hunt, I think I have a bigger appreciation for shiny hunting and shiny hunters in general now. As I mentioned before, I'm pretty new to shiny hunting. I've done a couple of hunts before, both in Sword and Scarlet, some of which have been decently challenging for me. But I feel like it's with this hunt, I now understand the true appeal of shiny hunting and what's so fun about it. This hunt was difficult and it was exhausting, but that feeling I got when Milcery finally appeared was a feeling of joy that few things can come close to. It's that feeling of working hard towards a goal for a long time, and finally seeing it happen. I know we're talking about little fictional critters here, but I don't think that makes it any less impactful. Shiny Alcremie may not be the rarest shiny out there, and the Ribbon Sweet certainly hasn't gotten any rarer with Gen 9. This hunt isn't one of the longest out there anyways. You'll find other people with similar stories and hunts of the same length for stuff that's just as common as this. But it is for sure one of the most valuable shinies I own now. The personal value I have for it exceeds the rarity of some of my most rare shinies I currently have. I've been reluctant to do harder hunts, such as hunts where the Pokemon isn't too common in the area it's in, or full odds hunts in other games. But now, I think I feel ready to tackle more difficult hunts such as those, because I know whatever the game throws at me, I can take it now, as long as I have the patience for it. So I have this little Milcery to thank for preparing me for that and changing my mindset a little bit. I come out of this hunt with 11 shinies, one of them my beloved Alcremie, and a deeper understanding and appreciation for shiny hunting. thank you if you stuck around to the end, or just fast forwarded here. If you want to have any takeaway from this video, let it be that no matter how difficult a hunt seems to be, or how much it looks like it doesn't want to end, as long as you keep at it, you will get your target eventually. I'll be seeing you some other time, viewer. Have a good holiday, and take care of yourselves. You hear? We'll do it once more, since now we have Alcremie. Here we go. Regular Galarian Mouse. Shiny Alcremie. I can't get over how good it looks.